Some people think losing your sight means losing your world. But for Elior Moon, the real darkness came long before the light faded. Elior had learned to count his steps instead of colors. 5 steps from the bed to the door. 7 steps from the door to the kitchen. The small apartment was quiet that morning, too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes your chest feel tight even before you know why. He stood by the window even though he could not see outside. He liked the warmth on his face. It helped him feel less alone. Marcus was supposed to be there. Marcus had promised he would come back early. He had promised many things. Elior believed him every time. Trust came easily to Elior. Maybe too easily. When the door finally opened, Elior smiled right away. "Marcus?" he asked softly. There was a pause. Not the happy pause of someone smiling back. This pause felt sharp, like something breaking. "Yes," Marcus said, but his voice was strange. Too calm. Elior turned toward the sound. "You're late," he said, trying to joke. "I was worried." Marcus sighed. The sound was heavy, like someone tired of carrying something they no longer wanted. "Elior," Marcus said, "we need to talk." Those words always meant trouble. Elior's hands tightened around the edge of the table. Marcus did not touch him. He did not step closer. Instead, he stayed far away, like distance could protect him from guilt. "I can't do this anymore," Marcus said. "This life. Everything." Elior blinked. "Do what?" he asked. "Did I do something wrong?" Silence answered him. "I took the money," Marcus finally said. "The savings. All of it." The words hit Elior slowly, one by one, like rain before a storm. "Our money?" Elior whispered. "Yes." "Why?" His voice shook. "We needed that. You said we were safe." Marcus laughed, but it was not kind. "Safe?" "Elior, I was never going to stay. Taking care of you is too much. You depend on me for everything." Elior felt his heart crack. "I never asked to be blind," he said quietly. "I know," Marcus replied. "But that doesn't change how hard it is." Elior reached out, but his hand touched only air. Marcus stepped away. "I'm leaving," Marcus said. "Don't follow me. Don't look for me." The door closed. The sound echoed through the apartment like a final answer. Elior stood there for a long time. He did not cry right away. First came the cold. Then the fear. Then the pain rushed in all at once. He slid down to the floor, his back against the wall. His breathing grew fast. His chest hurt. Luna's voice came to his mind. "If someone leaves you in the dark, it means they never planned to be your light." Tears finally fell. Days passed in a blur. Elior learned the truth piece by piece. The bank account was empty. The rent was unpaid. The phone stopped working. Marcus had not just left, he had planned it. People stopped answering Elior's calls. Some felt sorry. Others felt annoyed. No one offered help. One night, footsteps stopped outside his door. A voice whispered, "The blind Omega lives here." Elior's blood ran cold. He packed what little he could carry. A small bag. His cane. His jacket. He left the apartment he had memorized so carefully. The city outside was loud and cruel. Sounds crashed into him from every side. Cars. Voices. Horns. Fear followed him like a shadow. Someone grabbed his arm. "Hey," a rough voice said. "You look lost." Elior pulled away and ran. He did not know where he was going. He only knew he could not stop. His cane hit a smooth floor. Cool air brushed his face. A door had closed behind him. Silence. The building smelled clean. Big. Important. Elior leaned against the wall, shaking. "Please," he whispered to no one. "Just let me hide for a little while." He did not know that this wrong turn would change his life. He did not know that behind the closed office doors stood an alpha who had never planned to care for anyone. And he did not know that this was not the end of his story, but the painful beginning of a much stronger one. The silence did not last long. Elior heard footsteps. Slow. Steady. Confident. Each step echoed across the wide floor, and with every sound, Elior's heart beat faster. He pressed his back harder against the wall, gripping his cane with both hands like it was the only thing holding him upright. He had hidden in the wrong place. He knew it now. The footsteps stopped only a few steps away. "Who's there?" a deep voice asked. It was calm but powerful. The kind of voice that did not need to shout to be obeyed. Elior swallowed. Running would be useless. His chest rose and fell quickly as he tried to find his words. I'm sorry," Elior said. "I didn't mean to come in here. I'll leave. I promise." The man did not answer right away. Instead, Elior heard the soft click of a door closing. The sound told him something important. Whoever this was had chosen to stay. You're shaking, the voice said. Elior froze. He had not realized it was that obvious. I'm fine, he lied. No, the man replied. You're not. There was no anger in his voice. Only certainty. A chair moved. Papers were set down. The Alpha sighed quietly, like someone who had already lived a long, tiring day. My name is Kael Draven, the man said. This is my office. And no one gets in here by accident. Elior bowed his head. I'm sorry, Mr. Draven. I didn't know. I just needed a place to hide. Kael studied him. He could see the thin jacket, the worn shoes, the white cane resting against Elior's leg. You're blind, Kael said. Elior nodded. Yes. Kael frowned, though Elior could not see it. He felt it in the sudden change of the room. The Alpha's scent shifted, sharp at first, then slowly softer. Who were you hiding from? Kael asked. Elior hesitated. The truth felt heavy. But lying felt worse. People who think a blind Omega is easy to take from, Elior said quietly. The words hung in the air. Kael's jaw tightened. Sit down, he said. Elior did not move. That wasn't a request, Kael added, but his tone was still gentle. Carefully, Elior found the chair with his cane and sat. His hands rested in his lap, clenched tightly. Kael poured water. Elior heard the glass slide across the desk. Drink, Kael said. Elior reached out slowly, afraid of spilling it. When his fingers touched the cool glass, relief washed over him. He drank deeply. Thank you, Elior whispered. Kael leaned back in his chair. He had dealt with lies, threats, and power games all his life. But the Omega in front of him felt different. Fragile, yes, but not weak. What's your name? Kael asked. Elior Moon. How did you end up alone? Kael asked. Elior's shoulders stiffened. Someone I trusted left me, he said. He took everything. Kael did not press further. He understood betrayal well enough. You can stay here tonight, Kael said after a moment. Elior's head snapped up. What? You heard me, Kael replied. No one will touch you in this building. Elior shook his head quickly. I don't want trouble. I'll leave before it gets dark. You won't, Kael said. Not harshly. Simply sure. You're exhausted. And this city doesn't forgive people like you. Elior felt something warm rise in his chest. Fear mixed with hope, and that scared him more than fear alone. Why are you helping me? Elior asked. Kael was silent for a long time. I don't know, he finally said. Maybe because someone should have helped you before. Kael stood. There's a couch in the private room. I'll have food sent up. Elior nodded slowly. Thank you. I won't be a burden. Kael paused at the door. You already aren't. Left alone again, Elior leaned back against the couch. For the first time since Marcus left, his body relaxed. Not fully, but enough to breathe. He did not know Kael Draven was an Alpha feared by many. He only knew that behind the cold voice was a quiet kindness that made the darkness feel less heavy. And somewhere deep inside Kael Draven, something had shifted, something he had never planned to feel. Morning came without noise. Elior noticed it not by sight but by warmth. Sunlight touched his face through the tall windows, gentle and steady. For a moment he forgot where he was. His body felt rested, not tense like it had been for days. Then memory returned. The office. The Alpha. Kael Draven. Elior sat up slowly on the couch, careful not to move too fast. The room smelled clean, like paper, and something sharp but calm. It made him feel small, like he was inside a world that was not meant for someone like him. He folded the blanket neatly just in case. Old habits from living with Marcus still clung to him. Be useful. Be quiet. Don't take up space. A soft knock sounded. Elior's shoulders tensed. Why yes. The door opened. You're awake, Kael said. Elior stood quickly. I'm sorry if I slept too long. I can leave now. You're not leaving, Kael replied. Elior froze. I'm not. No, Kael said again. At least not yet. Kael placed a small tray on the table. Elior smelled food, warm bread, soup, something sweet. His stomach twisted painfully. He had not eaten properly in days. Sit, Kael said. This time, Elior obeyed without fear. They ate in silence. Elior tried to be quiet, but the sound of his spoon felt loud to him. He waited for Kael to say something sharp. Something cold. It never came. You don't need to rush, Kael said calmly. No one is watching you. Elior swallowed. I'm used to being careful. I can tell, Kael replied. Kael studied Elior as he ate. The Omega's hands shook slightly, but his movements were careful and polite. He thanked Kael after every bite like kindness was something that could run out. "Tell me about your blindness," Kael said gently. Elior paused. "I lost my sight slowly," he explained. "I was born seeing, but it faded over time. Sounds and smells became clearer instead." Kael nodded. "You navigate well." "I had to," Elior said softly. "No one else was going to do it for me." Kael felt something twist in his chest. After breakfast, Kael handed Elior a card. "This has my number," he said, "and the building layout written in raised print." Elior's fingers traced the letters. "You prepared this, for me?" "Yes." "Why?" Elior asked again. Kael hesitated. "Because I don't want you to feel trapped." The word hit Elior harder than any shout. Trapped. That was how he had lived before. Hours passed. Elior stayed in the office while Kael worked nearby. He listened to the quiet sounds, papers moving, keys typing, soft voices through the walls. No one came in without asking. No one stared. This safety felt unreal. By afternoon, Elior finally spoke. "Mr. Draven." "Kael. I don't want to be useless." Kael looked up. "You aren't." "I can help," Elior said quickly. "Organize files. Answer calls. I'm good at listening." Kael considered him. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," Elior said. "But I want to stay because I choose to. Not because I have nowhere else to go." Kael stood. "Then stay," he said. "As long as you need." Elior's chest ached. Not from pain, but from something warm and frightening. That evening, Kael arranged a guest room for Elior in the building. He made sure Elior learned the space by walking it slowly together. No rushing. No pushing. "You don't have to hold my arm," Kael said. "But you can if it helps." Elior hesitated, then lightly held Kael's sleeve. It felt safe. That night, alone in the guest room, Elior lay awake. The fear was still there, but it no longer ruled him. For the first time, someone had asked him to stay, and meant it. And Kael Draven, sitting alone in his office long after the lights went out, realized something unsettling. Letting Elior leave tomorrow felt impossible. Change does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it walks in like it owns the room. Elior heard it first, the door opening with confidence, not care. Heavy steps crossed the office floor without slowing. The air shifted, sharp and strong, like a storm that did not bother to warn the sky. Kael looked up from his desk. "Riven," he said flatly. Riven Blackwood laughed. "Good morning to you too, Kael." Elior stiffened at the sound of the new voice. It was different from Kael's. Where Kael's voice was calm and controlled, this one was bold and warm, like fire wrapped in steel. "And who is this?" Riven asked. Elior felt eyes on him. He sat straighter, hands folding in his lap. "My name is Elior," he said politely. "I'm sorry if I'm in the way." Riven walked closer. Not quietly. Not gently. But he stopped just short of invading Elior's space. "You're blind," Riven said, not as a question. "Yes," Elior replied. Riven hummed. "And an Omega." Kael stood at once. "That's enough." Riven raised a brow. "Relax. I'm only observing." Kael stepped between them without thinking. The movement surprised even him. "This is my office," Kael said. "And my guest." Riven smiled slowly. "Interesting." The word carried weight. Curiosity. Challenge. Riven leaned against the desk. "Did you know," he said to Elior, "that Kael Draven never lets anyone stay in his space?" Elior blinked. "I didn't know." Riven chuckled. "You must be special." Kael shot him a warning look. "Riven is an old business partner," he told Elior. "And a rival." "Partner when it suits you," Riven corrected. "Rival always." Riven turned back to Elior. "You okay here?" Elior hesitated. The question felt real. He nodded. "Yes." Riven studied him for a moment longer, then nodded once. "Good." The meeting that followed was tense. Voices stayed calm, but the air felt tight. Elior listened from the side, learning the sound of rivalry. Words were careful. Meaning was sharp. Riven left after an hour, but not before stopping beside Elior again. "If you ever need help," Riven said, "you ask me too." Kael frowned. "You don't get to." "I do," Riven interrupted. "Because I want to." The door closed behind him. Elior exhaled slowly. "I'm sorry," he said. "Did I cause trouble?" Kael shook his head. "No. Riven causes trouble just by existing." Elior smiled faintly. That night, Elior could not sleep. Riven's voice stayed in his thoughts. It had not been unkind. Just strong. confident in a way that felt dangerous and safe at the same time. The next day Riven returned. And the next. Sometimes with business papers. Sometimes with coffee. Always with questions meant for Elior, not Kael. How long have you been blind? What do you like to listen to? Do you always apologize this much? Elior answered slowly at first. Then more freely. Riven never pitied him. Never spoke softly just because he was blind. He spoke to Elior like he mattered. Kael noticed. He noticed the way Elior relaxed when Riven entered. The way Riven stood closer than needed. The way his scent lingered in the room long after he left. You don't trust him, Elior said one evening. Kael paused. I trust his skills. Not his intentions. Elior tilted his head. What are his intentions? Kael did not answer. One afternoon as Kael stepped out for a call, Elior and Riven were left alone. Kael protects you, Riven said. But protection can turn into a cage. Elior's chest tightened. He doesn't cage me. I'm not saying he means to, Riven replied. Just, don't forget you're allowed to choose. The words stayed with Elior long after Riven left. That night, Kael sat alone, staring at his desk. For the first time he felt something unfamiliar. Jealousy. And somewhere else in the city, Riven Blackwood smiled to himself. Because he had not come back into Kael's life for business. He had come back for the Omega who had quietly changed everything. The past has a way of finding you when you finally start to feel safe. Elior sensed it before anyone spoke. The air felt wrong, too tight, too familiar. He was sitting near the window in Kael's office, organizing files by touch and memory, when a voice cut through the quiet. Elior. His fingers froze. The sound of that voice reached places in his chest he had tried to close forever. Marcus. Elior did not turn. He did not need to see to know it was him. The smooth tone. The careful softness. It was the same voice that had once promised love and then left him in the dark. Kael stood up instantly. Who are you? He asked, sharp and cold. Marcus cleared his throat. I'm an old friend. I was told Elior was here. Elior's hands began to shake. He placed the file down slowly, trying to steady himself. Elior, Marcus said again, stepping closer. I've been looking for you. Kael moved between them. You don't walk into my building and speak to my guest without permission. Marcus scoffed lightly. Your guest? He's my Omega. The words landed like a slap. Elior flinched. No, Elior said quietly. I'm not. Marcus sighed as if tired. I know you're angry. You have a right to be. But I came to apologize. Kael's eyes narrowed. You have 1 minute. Marcus turned toward Elior, lowering his voice. I made mistakes, he said. I was scared. Everything happened so fast. I never meant to hurt you. Elior swallowed. His heart beat too fast. Too loud. You took everything, Elior said. You left me alone. I know, Marcus replied. And I regret it every day. It sounded so real. So practiced. I've changed, Marcus continued. I want to make things right. Come with me. We can start over. Kael's patience snapped. Get out. Marcus raised his hands. I just want to talk. Elior stood up. His legs trembled, but his voice was steady. I don't want to go anywhere with you. Marcus looked hurt. Elior, please. You don't belong in a place like this. These alphas don't care about you. They'll grow tired. They always do. The words dug deep, finding old fears Elior had not fully healed. Kael turned to Elior. You don't have to listen to this. But Elior already was. That night, Elior could not sleep. Marcus's words echoed again and again. They'll grow tired. He had believed that once. It had almost destroyed him. The next morning, a message arrived on Elior's phone. A number he did not recognize. I'm sorry. I just want to help you. Meet me once. Please. Elior stared at the screen for a long time. He did not tell Kael. Or Riven. When Elior left the building that afternoon, Marcus was waiting. I knew you'd come, Marcus said gently. Elior held his cane tightly. I'm only here to hear you. Nothing more. Marcus nodded. That's all I want. They sat in a quiet cafe. Marcus spoke of regret. Of loneliness. Of change. He spoke in soft words, careful words. The same ones that had once made Elior feel chosen. I was wrong, Marcus said. You were always enough. Elior's chest hurt. He wanted to believe it. Wanting felt easier than remembering the pain. When Elior returned to the building, Kael was waiting. Where did you go? Kael asked. Elior hesitated. The truth burned. Outside, Elior said. Kael studied him. He smelled the lingering trace of another alpha. You met him, Kael said quietly. Elior's shoulders sagged. I just needed answers. Kael's voice stayed calm, but something inside him hardened. Some people only come back to see if the door is still open. I know, Elior whispered. I just needed to be sure. That evening Riven arrived unexpectedly. He's back, Riven said the moment he saw Kael. Marcus Hale. I looked into him. Elior's heart dropped. He's lying, Riven continued. He's in debt. He wants leverage. You. Elior felt the room tilt. Kael turned to him. Did he ask you to leave? Elior nodded slowly. Silence filled the space. I'm sorry, Elior said. I didn't mean to bring trouble. Kael stepped closer. You didn't? But the past doesn't let go easily. Riven crossed his arms. And now it won't. Elior realized then that healing was not a straight path. Sometimes betrayal came back wearing the face of regret. And this time it would not be ignored. Trust does not break with a loud sound. It cracks softly like glass under gentle pressure, so quiet that you only notice when it finally cuts you. After Riven revealed the truth about Marcus, the building felt different to Elior. The walls were the same. The floor still smooth beneath his cane. But the safety he had started to believe in now felt fragile, like it could disappear if he stepped wrong. Kael did not raise his voice. That hurt more than anger would have. I should have told you, Elior said again, standing near Kael's desk. I didn't want to hide it. Kael's hands rested flat on the surface. You didn't trust me enough to tell me, he replied. The words were calm, controlled, but they carried weight. Elior's chest tightened. I was afraid, he said honestly. Not of you. Of myself. Kael looked up then. Afraid of what? That I still wanted him to be sorry, Elior said. That a part of me hoped the pain wasn't real. Silence filled the room. Riven leaned against the wall, arms crossed. That doesn't make you weak, he said. It makes you human. Kael did not respond. That night, Elior lay awake in the guest room, listening to the building breathe around him. He thought of Marcus's voice. Of Kael's disappointment. Of Riven's warning. For the first time since arriving, Elior felt unsure of where he belonged. The next morning, Kael left early without saying goodbye. Elior noticed right away. He spent the day distracted, misplacing files he had memorized perfectly before. Luna called, worry clear in her voice. You sound small again, Luna said. Are you safe? Yes, Elior replied. Then hesitated. I think so. When evening came, Riven returned instead of Kael. He's angry, Riven said simply. Elior's shoulders sagged. I deserve that. No, Riven replied. You deserve honesty. From him too. Riven sat beside Elior, close enough that Elior could feel his warmth. Kael protects by controlling, Riven said. He doesn't mean to. But when things slip from his hands, he doesn't know what to do. What should I do? Elior asked. Riven was quiet for a long moment. Decide who you trust with your fear, he said. Not just your safety. The next day Marcus made his move. Elior was walking outside the building with his cane when a familiar hand grabbed his arm. Let go, Elior said sharply. Listen to me, Marcus whispered urgently. You're not safe with them. Elior's heart raced. You lied to me. Marcus scoffed. They turned you against me. No, Elior said. You did that yourself. Marcus's grip tightened. Come with me. I can protect you. The word protect felt wrong in his mouth. A sudden presence broke the moment. Riven. Step away, Riven said, voice low and dangerous. Marcus released Elior instantly. You again? Marcus sneered. Collecting what isn't yours? Riven did not answer. He positioned himself between Marcus and Elior, wide and solid. This is your last warning, Riven said. Touch him again and you won't get another. Marcus laughed nervously and backed away. He'll come back, he said. They always do. Riven waited until Marcus was gone before turning to Elior. You okay? He asked. Elior nodded, but his hands shook. Riven guided him inside and did not let go until Elior was seated safely. That night, Kael returned late. He found Elior waiting in the office. I didn't tell you everything, Elior said before Kael could speak. And that hurt you. I'm sorry. Kael closed the door slowly. I was angry because I was scared, he admitted. Not of Marcus. Of losing you. The truth surprised them both. I don't want to be kept safe if it means being kept silent, Elior said gently. Kael stepped closer. And I don't want to protect you by breaking your trust. They stood there, the space between them heavy with unspoken feelings. Outside the door, Riven listened quietly. He knew now that this was no longer just about rivalry. It was about an Omega learning his worth, and two Alphas realizing love could not be owned. And Marcus, watching from the shadows, understood something too. His second betrayal would not be forgiven. Healing did not arrive like a miracle. It came quietly, in small moments that barely felt important at first. After the night Kael admitted his fear, things did not suddenly become easy. There were no promises made, no words that fixed everything. But the silence between them changed. It no longer felt sharp. It felt thoughtful. Kael began including Elior in decisions about his own life. Simple things at first. Where he wanted to work during the day. When he wanted company and when he needed space. Kael listened, really listened, and that made all the difference. Riven in his own way helped too. He showed Elior how to move through the city with confidence, not just caution. He taught him how to listen for traffic patterns, how to recognize places by echoes and smells, how to stand tall even when afraid. "You don't shrink just because you can't see," Riven said one afternoon as they walked together. "You take up space because you exist." Those words stayed with Elior. Some days were harder than others. There were moments when Marcus's voice returned in Elior's thoughts, whispering old doubts. On those days, Elior allowed himself to feel weak, but he no longer faced it alone. Luna visited often now. She laughed loudly, filled the rooms with warmth, and reminded Elior of who he was before the pain. "You're not broken," she told him firmly. "You were hurt. There's a difference." Elior began helping more at the office, not because he felt he had to, but because he wanted to. He answered calls with patience, organized schedules with careful attention, and remembered details others missed. People noticed. "He's good," one employee said quietly to Kael. "Really good." Kael already knew. One evening, after a long day, Kael and Riven found themselves standing together outside the office, watching Elior laugh at something Luna said. Neither Alpha spoke at first. "He's changing," Riven said finally. "Yes," Kael replied. "He's becoming himself again." Riven glanced at Kael. "And what happens when he realizes he doesn't need either of us?" Kael was silent for a moment. "Then we respect his choice." Riven smiled faintly. "That's not the Kael Draven I used to know." "Neither is this situation," Kael said. Meanwhile, Marcus grew desperate. His plans had failed. Elior was no longer alone, no longer easy to manipulate. The power Marcus once held was slipping through his fingers and he hated it. So he tried a different approach. Rumors began to spread. Quiet ones. Ugly ones. Lies about Elior's competence. About Kael's judgment. About Riven's intentions. But lies do not grow well in light. Kael confronted the source calmly and firmly. Riven shut down the whispers with sharp truth. And Elior, with a steady voice and clear honesty, spoke for himself when it mattered most. "I am blind," Elior said during a small meeting. "But I am capable. If you doubt me, watch my work." They did. And the doubts faded. That night, Elior stood alone in the quiet office, listening to the hum of the building. He felt stronger, not because the pain was gone but because it no longer controlled him. Kael joined him. "You didn't need us today," Kael said. Elior smiled softly. "No. But I wanted you here." Riven appeared moments later, leaning against the doorframe. "Looks like we're still useful." Elior laughed and the sound felt like victory. Healing had not erased the betrayal. But it had given Elior something better than revenge. It had given him confidence. And confidence, Marcus was about to learn, was far more dangerous than anger. Strength does not always sound loud. Sometimes, it is the steady voice that no longer shakes. Elior felt it the moment he woke up, an unfamiliar calm in his chest. The kind that did not come from safety alone but from certainty. He had spent weeks learning how to stand again, how to trust his own steps, how to believe that his past did not decide his future. Today he would face it. Marcus did not expect Elior to answer his message. "We should talk," Marcus had written. "Just once. I won't bother you again." Elior read the words slowly, then set the phone down. His hands were steady. "I'm going," Elior told Kael later that morning. Kael's expression tightened. "You don't have to." "I know," Elior replied. "But I want to." Riven crossed his arms. "We'll be nearby." Elior nodded. "I'm not doing this alone." They met in a public place, open and busy. Elior recognized the sounds immediately. Footsteps, voices, the soft hum of life continuing around them. It grounded him. Marcus arrived late. "You look well," Marcus said, surprised. "I am," Elior replied. Marcus hesitated. I never meant for things to go so far. Elior took a slow breath. You meant to leave. You meant to take what wasn't yours. That was a choice. Marcus's jaw tightened. You're being dramatic. No, Elior said calmly. I'm being honest. Marcus scoffed. Those alphas put ideas in your head. They didn't, Elior said. They gave me space to think. The words seemed to unbalance Marcus more than anger would have. I'm not coming back, Elior continued. And I'm not giving you anything. Not money. Not forgiveness you didn't earn. Not access to my life. Marcus leaned forward. You'll regret this. Elior stood. I already regretted trusting you. I won't regret leaving. He turned and walked away on his own. Later that day, Kael called a formal meeting. Marcus's financial actions were laid out clearly. Proof was presented. Lies collapsed under truth. There was no shouting. No cruelty. Just facts. Marcus lost the influence he once relied on. Elior listened from the side, calm and composed. When it was over, he felt lighter, not because Marcus had fallen but because Elior no longer carried him. Outside, Riven spoke first. That was brave. Elior smiled. It was necessary. Kael placed a hand near Elior's shoulder, not touching but present. I'm proud of you. For the first time, those words did not make Elior feel small. That evening, Elior sat between Kael and Riven, listening to the city settle for the night. He realized something important. Revenge had not healed him. Choice had. And Marcus, watching his world crumble from afar, understood too late. He had not lost Elior because of the alphas. He had lost him because Elior had finally chosen himself. Peace feels strange when you are not used to it. Elior noticed it in the quiet moments, the kind that used to make him nervous. Now they felt full instead of empty. After facing Marcus and walking away on his own terms, something inside Elior settled. The past no longer chased him. It stayed where it belonged. But a new question waited patiently in its place. One evening, Kael invited Elior to the rooftop garden of the building. The air was cool, the city sounds distant below. Riven was already there, leaning against the railing like he belonged anywhere he chose to stand. This isn't a meeting, Riven said lightly. Relax. Elior smiled. I am. They stood together for a while, saying nothing. Elior could sense the space between them, not awkward, not tense, just careful. Respectful. Kael spoke first. We need to talk about what comes next. Elior nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. Kael took a slow breath. I don't want to decide for you. Not now. Not ever. Riven straightened. Same here. Elior's heart beat steadily. He had imagined this moment before, but now that it was here, he felt ready. I don't want to choose out of fear, Elior said. Or because I feel like I owe someone. You don't owe us anything, Kael said immediately. I know, Elior replied. That's why I'm choosing honestly. He turned slightly toward them, grounding himself in their presence. With you, Kael, Elior continued, I learned safety without control. You taught me that protection doesn't mean silence. Kael's expression softened, something rare and unguarded. And with you, Riven, Elior said, I learned confidence. You reminded me that I'm allowed to take up space. Riven smiled, smaller than usual but real. I don't want to lose either of you, Elior said simply. Not because I'm afraid to be alone, but because my life is better with both of you in it. The words settled gently between them. Riven let out a slow breath. You're serious? Yes. Kael studied Elior for a long moment. This isn't simple. I don't need simple, Elior said. I need honest. Riven laughed quietly. Trust the Omega to say it best. Kael finally nodded. If this is what you want, then we move forward carefully. Together. Elior felt warmth spread through his chest. Not excitement, not rush, but certainty. They did not touch. They did not make promises they could not keep. They simply stood there, three people choosing the same direction. Below them, the city continued as it always had. Above them, something new began. And for the first time in his life, Elior knew this choice belonged to him alone. The morning sun spilled over the city, soft and golden. It was warm on Elior's face though he could not see it. He felt it in his skin, in the steady rhythm of his breath, and in the calm certainty that filled his chest. For months, life had been a series of sharp edges, betrayal, fear, and the uncertain warmth of two alphas who cared more than they let on. But now, standing between Kael and Riven in the quiet rooftop garden, Elior felt something entirely different. It was peace. Kael stepped closer, careful as ever, his presence grounding Elior. You're ready? Kael said softly. I can feel it. Elior nodded. I am. Riven's voice came from the other side, steady and warm. And we'll be here every step. They had spent weeks learning not just about Elior, but about themselves. Kael learned patience, the difference between protection and control. Riven learned restraint, the importance of listening before acting. Elior had learned strength, the kind that comes not from hiding or running, but from choosing. Do you remember when I first hid in this building? Elior asked quietly. Kael smiled faintly. You were shaking like a leaf. And scared, Elior added. But I wasn't alone for long. You never will be again, Riven said, and it sounded like a promise. Elior reached for both their hands, not touching, just feeling the space between them, the warmth, the reality of their presence. He realized he did not need sight to see that this was where he belonged. They stood together as the sun rose higher. Light and warmth touched them in ways the world outside could not give. Elior thought of Marcus, gone, powerless, irrelevant. He felt no desire for revenge anymore. Justice had been served, quietly but firmly. And Elior understood now that healing and love were far stronger than anger. The world felt wide, safe, and full of possibility. He could not see colors or faces, but he felt every sound, every breath, every heartbeat around him, and they all said one thing: he was home. Kael bent slightly, voice low and steady. We'll face the world together. No pretending. No hiding. Riven nodded, matching Kael's tone. We protect, we support, and we follow your lead. Always. Elior smiled, a quiet, steady thing. Then we begin. Not because of fear or past mistakes, but because I choose this. I choose you both. And I choose me. And in that choice, Elior felt something he had never known before. Freedom. Real freedom. Outside, the city roared with life. But up here, in the quiet warmth of the rooftop garden, three hearts beat together in trust, love, and understanding. For Elior, Kael, and Riven, the past was behind them. The future lay ahead, bright, untouchable, and their own. This was not just survival. It was living. It was love. And it was forever. If you loved Elior's journey from betrayal to healing, from fear to love, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to follow more heartwarming BL stories where trust, courage, and love always win.